almost done with the getting cookies and coffee part of today's entertainment. We're going to come up on the open mic, and running the open mic for us is the one and only Mr. Andrew Gonzalez.
Hey, 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 hey there, everybody. It is now time for our open mic. The first reader, finally. Can you give a big round of applause for Tom Avery?
Well, I haven't written any new poetry in a while, and this is some of my older stuff. So this is a poem about, I used to go to Mount Shasta almost every year, kind of for a spiritual quest. So it's called Higher on Mount Shasta. Thin wispy white clouds paint the sky white, and blue patches appear in the openings. Heavy gray cloud mass bury snow peaks as I climb higher into the wind and look down. The air grows thinner and colder as I go higher to let the old self die. This is a poem about one of my favorite places over in the Oregon coast, Cape Perpetua. Down at the Devil's Churn, ancient logs float adrift in the white roiling foam. The turbulent sea crashes against the jagged reefs into the deep lagoon. The dragon's nostrils hiss and spout in the cool morning mist and sea fog. There's no sign of sun today, only heavy clouded sea haze, with high cold waves rising up from the darkness and the sound of seabirds singing lonesome laments. My last poem here is about a cat. This cat is no longer alive, but this is a friend's cat that I wrote a poem about. I picked this poem because I'm thinking about getting a cat. Sadie. She is big and heavy with her smooth, fluffy mane and tan spot below the right side of her nose. She lays on her left side, sprawled across the dining room table. The late afternoon sun casts light in through the kitchen window on the tones of her charcoal and dark brown fur. She is soft and cuddly and begins to purr as I gently rub her neck and chin. She sits on her belly now, contemplating like an old Buddha with her left paw out in front of her, the right one tucked underneath. Suddenly her black pointy ears perk up and her large green eyes look out at whatever it is she happens to see. What does she hear that calls her acute attention, I wonder? Then she slowly rises off her haunch and plop. She is on the floor and gone out the door to the outside world to satisfy her curiosity.
The tricky thing about killing the old self is keeping the guy dead. Bunch of spiritual zombies coming back. Give a round of applause for J.W. James.
Okay, I'm going to take the time to make this lower.
Here, let me do that for you.
Thank you. Because I did a whole feature reading with it in the wrong place.
Really?
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah. I didn't realize till I saw it.
Work for you?
Yeah. Thank you. Can you hear me now with that? Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, everybody, for a great afternoon. I have a tap dancing story, too. I have two poems. The first is "The Body is an Envelope." Sealed within that envelope, bees buzz, the pollen of the heart healer. At night, crickets tilt, those dry grasses in the skull. The brain, a swamp pond at the back of the black cracked spine. Each vertebrae set with a garnet, each garnet drunk with wine. The body stands on its pine cones, shifting sand pulses the bloodstream and envelope. and the railroad tracks of longing all the way to the horizon. Longing sealed forever there, the body is an envelope of shaking rattles, dusty spices, battles lost, shots of tequila, the heart a druzy quartz. I saw it when I used a letter opener, made a slit of wonder like watermelon, a cracked clock ticking the day you were born, a message in Morse code predicting avalanche, tsunami of tongues, informing you why you can never break free. You are not a snake that gets a second skin. You are an envelope, stamped, return to sender, address unknown. And this poem is called Spill, and it's I have a quote from D.H. Lawrence: "Be a good animal, true to your instincts." Faucet pouring into my suitcase, my ship sprung a leak, then paper towels, automatic. I hold my hand in front of red dot to get those towels to roll. I can't get enough to sop up this spill. Faucet was on remote and I didn't know. Is my life on remote? There are too many floods and never enough paper towels. I thought 60 would bring some kind of miracle. Now I need to find a new suitcase because I'm carrying 50 pounds of French surrealist poetry. I see it in people's eyes, hear it in their voices. 30 years is too long to live with illness. They're all bored with it. I don't have a choice or a suitcase. In truth, I'm the heart healer. I'm the hawk in the sky. There's been a deluge of years. I wait for the end of the world. I show my bus pass, my suitcase drowning in sorrows, and me with my paper towel soul sopping them up. I'm fatigued in more ways than one. The only thing to save me is match flare, tin cup, silver chain around my neck. My new suitcase will be water repellent. My next life will be eager all the way through. Bold spirit like my first life. My next life will be purified. My blood won't grow sluggish. If my joints ache, I'll still be beautiful. In my next life, I'll be dealt some blows, but I'll still call the shots. I'm leaving because I want to trace my steps, because I'm under the influence of botched stars. Thank you.
I still hope that 60 brings some kind of miracle, but that's just me. Alright, I might mispronounce this name at first, but it's Kaye Dean Linux?
K. Dean Linux.
K. Dean Linux.
Yes, that's
Give it up.
Thank you. Yeah, you probably should. How's that?
We can hear you.
Okay, cool. Okay, this is just called Untitled. She travels outside the circle and dances with strangers who have no one else to dance with. He feeds the homeless while he eats rice and onions for dinner. He has no regrets. There exists among us wild honor, divine essence, and a unity of wisdom and humility. Now it is my turn. It is not enough just to say, I must also do. From my outstretched hands come gifts of friendship and hope. There is still a promise of awe and wonder, lingering in open minds and open hearts. Purpose is given to the seekers. Clarity is given to the truthful. Inner music is given to those who dance with strangers.
A beautiful spiritual poem. The next poet is Paul Halupa. Thank you.
thank you. Tom, JW, Kadeen, thank you. Short little one called Imagine. Imagine a green canyon spilling from fresh mountains, then make it greener. Imagine a blue stream dancing through sifted light, then turn it bluer. Imagine a violet sky wafting behind lilting hills, then darken the violet. Imagine such golden air that with every breath you're made so young, the taste of innocence, like a magic elixir, lingers on your tongue. From a few months ago in San Diego. It's called Nathan Olison Playing Balboa Park. Inside the wordless concord of palms and pines and the unearthly sheen of light on eucalyptus, the busker lifts blues into a February sky baptized by the sea and absolutely free of clouds. In the shade between a lily pond and green gardens, the young bard croons, his voice the wistful whisper of folk dreams and long ago, of paling memories left beside dusty tracks, of pleasures relinquished along some abandoned road. Between sad stanzas he whistles, lets the wind carry his hard nostalgia. His hands travel the same frets as Dylan and Taylor, soulful fingers rippling aching, lonesome strings. His face bears youth, but somehow I think him old. When the music grows too much, his dark eyes close beneath the brim of a black fedora, and I'm sure that when he at last looks up, his thoughts take him to a place too far away, too very far away, to ever take its measure or ever find again. This is called Giving Rise to a Question. When at last the great pain lifts, and long days of terror pass, I take slow steps upon a lawn green as the dreams I remember in my dreams when I was young. It is Mother's Day, and the air is a flute sifting memories, all scented in flowers and love. May sun and may light caress a wearied shoulder and arm, settle and soothe a tender back. A breeze glides along my face, full of summer and cottonwoods. I grow mindful of my body. It harbors but a hint of pain, drifting through a Sunday afternoon. A question arises. I ask, if this solace is a peace returned, or only the memory of peace? I'm not sure of the answer, but for moments at least, I am happy. Forget the dark disappointments that can settle upon a life. It has been a very long time. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Very nice. Appreciate it. Now, what am I doing up here? Well, our next poet is Mr. Andrew Gonzalez, who is too shy to introduce himself. Here we go, Andrew Gonzalez.
Burning black hole in the bright white abyss, dark fires burning, never content with one kiss. So dark and empty, yearning to be full, but how do you fill a burning black hole? It has hungers and desires, but black holes don't know. Lust is not for flesh, nor water for the thirsty. Hearts and mouths don't seek desires, they yearn for the death of the burning. We feast, yet we are starving, for when not full we long to feast again. Again and again we may win, but we never cease to want to win. Food, water, drugs, and lust, only brief glimpses of relief before the blackness opens up, pouring rivers of water to feed the fire, ignorant of the hole in the cup.
Say something nice about yourself.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody, give a warm applause for Eric Muller.
Eric Muller, yeah.
What a nice variety of people and sounds,
Can we get this for you, Eric?
however it works.
Let's see, how's that?
How is that?
Yeah.
Okay, it's really for them. I'm going to read a small handful of very short poems, and I hope they don't go by too fast. I've been writing these 10-line poems. I got started last January and probably wrote about 60 of them. They almost trapped me. I almost couldn't get out of them, right? I couldn't write longer poems for a while. Gotten over that. But I did collect some of these. I've got about 30 of them here. It is not for me the snow bell blooms, nor I think for you, though you are beautiful and deserving. The sweet dome of its aroma covers us. Now and forever on a Sunday, our mothers wear white gloves and veiled hats, their sweetness ours. Dear Mother and Aunt V, without lips or hands to speak, a box of letters you wrote each other, growing close as you grew old. Vein of language, schist, who reads your rushed hand now, deciphers breath and laughter. I'm not sure if these are coming through. They're really, I think, for rereading maybe. But I'm going to give you two more.
Great.
When I come home, I whistle, not to startle Anne. My way of saying hello. I can't describe it. After you die, I will remember your whistle. She'll remember suet we set out for songbirds, or clumsy starlings barge in. I whistle to them, hello. Mimic me, starlings, when I'm gone. And since Tom wrote a really nice poem about Shasta, I'll read you a poem about Shasta, but it's not on the mountainside. It's in Weed, crazy little town. We're drinking beer, Ann and I, and there are so many impediments to seeing that mountain. It's amazing. In Weed, drinking outside with Ann with a view of Shasta from the brewery parking lot. A bin for garbage, dog's water bowl, stop sign seen from the back, the usual static. Looking up from her reading, Ann says, pretty light on the mountain. It is. It is. I'm there. Thank you.
Thanks for those scenic poems, Eric. The next person to fill our microphone is the always theatrical Joshua Mertz.
And you thought you were rid of me. Okay. By the way, just so you know, when we're done with this open mic, we're going to bring our featured readers back up, so it's going to be a good afternoon. I brought one poem. It's about how we, the listeners and the poets, we're so into words. What else does one make poetry from? But the words are not the reality. This is called the naming of things. Deep in the well of words, nothing's real. You see photons reflecting off molecules and call it shape and texture, making the world into words, mere words, artifacts of the original sin of splitting the world apart. Do you remember when everything was sunlight and huge rooms and endless days? Yes, you remember. And then came words and the naming of things, and wonderment was reduced to being a 10-letter word, while you described everything and tried to excuse it with poetry. Thank you.
It's enough to make you have second thoughts about language. What are we all doing here with words? Come on up, Don Colgan.
Okay, and you never put these, Gus, you probably had this up pretty high too, right? There we go, okay. So I picked three, I think it'll be under 5 minutes, kind of a big arc of time from the early days when I was writing about existential angst to the later days when I was writing about existential angst. 3 poems.
There we go.
This is called Freezing in the Tropics from about 35 years ago. Another Christmas passes, all liquids turn to gases. The facts assumed fall freezing in the snow. You change and I don't follow. My ice-bound cries ring hollow. In darkness dies the truth we think we know. In love we find our anchor. It sinks in drifts of rancor. It settles like the mercury sub-zero. In winter floods we wallow. This change is hard to swallow. My strength intact, I feign myself the hero. You never know the reason for unaccustomed freezing in situations tropical and hot. When liquids turn to gases and snow still clogs the passes, I fight confusion and the things we're not. This is from about 5 years ago. I'm an old rock and roll and blues fan, and I remember watching a video of the old Rolling Stones still performing. And so I wrote this song. It's called Old Stones. It starts with a quote. My dear Lady Anne, I've done what I can. I must take my leave, for promised I am. A song by the Rolling Stones. Lady Jane on the old radio, big old dogs on the seat, one black, one white, old green van with chipped and peeling paint, carrying this old not quite done boy along these cracked Eugene streets. What about the jilted Lady Anne? Did she find what truth she could? Or did her hot tears never end in perpetual lovelessness? Old Mick, you still sing to us out of the long gone days when the music cut right to the quick. Your Lady Jane by now as old as your legendary creviced face. Her beauty pierces through these bitter years, sharp wound on our old still beating hearts. Old maybe, but not yet gone, as the radio promises. We reach for every song that resurrects our youth before we inevitably and poignantly sad depart. Tonight I drive the van and hum. My dogs wag tails at whatever truth they smell. Song fades to engine's roar. The tires spin closer to the end of sound. Lady Anne takes her plaintive bow as darkness descends upon these damaged streets. And then I have this real short one I wrote just this January while I was at the coast. My wife and I had a nice place, and I was watching the ocean at night, called Ocean Foam at Night, leaning on a balcony rail, thinking of my parents' ashes dissolved into the brine. Ocean's predictable plaints encompassing as the moon, overwhelmed by undaunted repetitions of the tides. I think how unprepared is the human heart for how the waves defile, then sculpt again the shore. At night, the lightness of foam belies the dark water beneath. One day soon, we will enter that endless pounding swoon.
The fact that existential angst never gets old just adds to my existential angst. Thank you very much. Come on up, Nicole Taylor.
The wheezes of the Whitaker neighborhood. Pop, bang, stand back, a man was shot. Pop, bang, stand back, shots were fired in that apartment. Crackle, crackle, stand back, this trailer was set on fire. Burr, burr, stand clear of the tracks, wait for your conversation. Bark, bark, welcome greets and lullabies the neighbor dog to every neighbor and homeless wanderer in the alleys. And this was from an assignment about betrayal. Be hurt us, be confuse us, be bother us, be bother all of caring, those of caring. And here's a Eugene poem. My feet take me north to volunteer at an art studio, east to meet other artists, or deliver playhouse posters, south or southeast to watch plays with friends, west to visit friends' homes, and all directions to hikes. Fourth floor on Oak Street parking garage.
The last one about Eugene?
Yeah.
Wow.
I have a cat poem about a friend's deceased cat and its personality, but I don't have it memorized.
Next time. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Nicole. There should just be like a collection of odes to deceased cats, you know?
The last meow.
The last minute. I think we have one started. I think we have people who could fill those odes. Our last poet, come on up, Connie James.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
I kind of lost my voice when I screamed at 5 kids I raised. But I think I'm getting back. I'm saying a small pitch for a book of poetry an anthology just for women. And I was honored to get in a poem. So I'll be brief and read the one
Connie, tell them where
that
they
I
can
got
get it.
in. It's called Madness, Moose Press, Mermaid Mirror. You can get it on Amazon.
Okay.
Hermes gone wild. Standing at the foot of Mount Sinai, making a covenant with God to serve as messengers to the world, that the planet can be perfect. Oh yeah? Dressed with shocking pink hair and metal-studded leather clothing, the planet has hopped on its motor wheels and gone flying, dipping into realms of not sugar plum fairies, but into acid trips and fantasies. Their color resembles not a prism, for there is no light. Beyond the blackest streams, kings and queens await their downfall of their realm. The pure and the simple understand. There is work to be done. It is through their courage that there is hope for the message to be unzipped and heard correctly. Yet, there is a delicate balance in order to turn the planet straight and make it aligned again. What is the message that this finely woven to interconnect with all? Can the world hear? Who are the gods now? Will the meek inherit the earth? A feeling, a desire, or a suggestion is not enough for the poets to beat their pen or the painters to brush their image. Can the world hear? Can the world see? Called back from our dreams, we must be ready to meet our joys and our sorrows of the hero's journey. Each one needs to become again the messenger with truth. A truth that lifts us from the earth in order to see it and hear it between heaven and earth. There can only peace exist. Hermes needs to fall in love with Artemis.
Oh, Connie, you always speak to the spirit. I love that. We're all the messengers. We've heard that here. Now, to finish this off, we are going to bring up our featured readers again. I think we'll start with Gus. Come on up, Gus. One more time. Little hand for Gus Daum here. Get this up where it's your height.
All right.
How's that? There we go.
When I become old, as I know I surely may, what might I see and hear and feel to fill each aged day? Will there be mist upon my face, a snowflake falling to my tongue? Can I walk barefoot in the grass as I did when I was young? Will there be the sounds of trickling stream, the mighty ocean's roar, the deep, deep voice of a small tree frog come at night through my open door? Will hummingbirds' wings beat too fast to see as they hover over my flowering rose? Will a seagull soar still-winged for an hour, a quick gray mouse escape a talon's close? Will some kind lady return my smile A neighbor's hand grasps mine, Will some kind lady return my smile? A neighbor's hand grasps firm on mine. Will the sun bake warm upon my back, and a myriad night stars shine? Well then, why not become old?
I've heard it beats the alternative, Gus. All right, that was Gus Daum. And again, we have the wonderful Lynn Ash, who's going to come up and read one more thing here.
Thank you. Okay, so I haven't written any poetry, but I'm choosing a very, very short selection from Eugene that kind of feels a little bit more like poetry. I call it Train Whistles. Kathy lies in the bottom bunk, and I in the top. It is Friday night. There is no school tomorrow, and we are allowed to listen to the radio until 10 o'clock, when the #1 hit on Top Pops has played, and Hot Toddy, the theme song, signals the end of our evening's listening. Mom walks quietly into the room and clicks off the radio. I lie back on my thin mattress and pull the covers up to my chin, waiting and listening. I don't wait long. It begins with a low grumbling at ground level, coming out from Railroad Boulevard and sweeping down past Blair. Our bedroom windows begin to tremble, then rattle in their frames as the great whooshing engine closes. 2 short woofs and a long plangent wail. Out of my way, out of my way. And now our bunks shake as the train rumbles past a few blocks from our bedroom. I lie rigid until the bunk shaking and the window rattling subside. At last, the clangor of wheels and rails abates, and only the ground grumbles as the train pulls away, calling back softer and softer harmonic good nights, until the last long, sonorous yawn from far down the track casts its final Sandman spell.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Boy, 2 great readers today. Let's get another hand for Gus Daum and Lynn Ash. Marvelous. And remember that they have books for sale in the parking lot. So I would like to remind you that we are going to do this again next month with, well, let me delay here a little bit while I put my glasses on. First of all, I want to thank all of you folks for coming and sharing this. This has been a standing room only group. Wow, this is great to see you guys out here enjoying poetry as you do. So next month we will have Rachel Rich and Ulrich Casimir. Be sure you can pick up one of these over here on the table. Find out who's going to be here next month. We've got the website on here. Find the author's books and yada, yada, yada. And thank you very much for being here. We're going to do it again next month. Thanks so much, folks.
Thank you.